Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this HP Envy 17 notebook PC. The model is 17t-j100. So I'm going to show you how to take it apart. Alright, so first what you want to do, of course, is remove the battery. So just slide this over, pop that out. If you need to replace the battery, they have the spare part number here, 710417-001. Alright, or I think this is PI06. Okay, so that's the model number for the battery. Once you do that, you want to remove all the screws. So there's two screws hidden under these rubber covers, so you just pry them out. They're kind of really difficult to pull out, but just get your fingernail or a pry tool or screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and just pop it out. So, alright, so you're going to need a PH1 and a PH0 or 00 to get these three screws. So for the PH1, you'll remove this 1, 2, 3, remove this one as well. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alright, so remove all those screws, and then you'll want to use the PH 00 to remove these three in the back. Alright, don't mix them all up because they are different sizes on like these screws and all the other screws. Okay, once you get all the screws out, you can pull up this cover, just go like this. If you can, kind of flex it a little bit so that way the clips can kind of disengage. Okay, so that's how you remove the cover. Alright, once you get to the inside, you'll want to undo the screws here, but we'll take some stuff out first. So let's take out the hard drive first. So if you have two hard drives, you need to take out this one first. So these are all 2.5-inch SATA drives. You can replace them with SSDs if you want. So just grab the rubber thing, pull it up, okay? If the rubber's like old and stiff and not coming out, you can use like a smaller screwdriver. So you can use a small screwdriver tip like this, and then usually you can like go in the screwdriver hole, and then you can use that by like turning it to the side and prying it up. So like this, you can kind of pull it up like this. Or if you have the right screwdriver bit, you can use that as well. Okay, so I mean, if you have the right type of screw, you can put the screw in partially, and then you can use that to kind of help you like pull it up, just like this. Okay. Alright, so that's how you do that. So to remove the hard drives, they are attached with the cable here, so you'll have to flip these little latches up here. Flip the latch up, and then you can kind of pull the cable out. Okay, just like this. Alright, be careful not to pull it while other stuff is on it. You don't want to yank hard and then damage stuff. Okay, so we'll set the hard drive aside. Alright, and then you got the longer one. Same thing, just undo this. You can actually leave this cable in here on this one, because this one, they kind of use an adhesive here. So if you peel it up, you might damage this. So I'm going to leave the cable there, and what I'm going to do is use my fingernail or pry tool and then just pull on the connector here to disconnect it, just like that. Okay, there you go. So that's how you remove the hard drives. Alright, then you're going to want to, you can remove the CMOS battery here. Make sure you don't mix up the hard drives, because if you put them in the wrong order, then it's not going to boot properly. Okay, the CMOS battery, just go underneath the wings and then kind of wiggle it and pull it up, just like that. Alright, then you got, I think this is the speaker cable. So same thing, this one is harder to reach, so you might need to use two tools to do it. So I'll use the one screwdriver and then also my fingernail on the other side, and then kind of just wiggle it until it comes out, just like that. Okay. Alright, just like that. That's how you disconnect the speaker wire. Alright, now we'll take out the rest of the screws. So you can see there's screws here, and one under here, two here, and then there's some more. So first what you want to do, I like to go along here. You will have to remove the wireless antenna, so I'm going to disconnect that first. So just pry from the tail, and then pull it at an angle as close as you can, and it should pop out just like that. Okay. Alright, same thing with the black wire. Just go close to the tail and then pull it up. Don't try and pull from the front, because you can damage it that way. Okay, so go from the tail, pry it up. Okay, right, just like that. and then you can move the antennas out of the way. There are all these other connectors here that you will have to remove. I'm not 100% sure what each one is for. Okay, subwoofer, and then this is for the right speaker. So this one has a whole bunch of speaker connectors. So this is for the front speaker, right speaker, and then the subwoofer. So just in case, I'm going to disconnect those. I'm not sure if you need to remove the cover. Probably not, but I'll do it anyways. Okay, just like that. Just wiggle the connectors just like this, and then pull it up. This connector might be difficult for you to get if you don't have long nails, so you might have to remove the wireless card to get an easier grip on the connector. And then this is the connector for the optical disk drive or the CD drive. Okay, I don't know if I need to disconnect this FP, I think that's fingerprint sensor, but I'm gonna flip it up and then just leave it there. Okay, then you got the RAM. So like I was saying earlier, with the hard drives, they're 2.5-inch SATA drives. You can replace them with SSDs. And then the RAM here, I don't know if you can see, this is 8 gigs PC3 12800S. So if you need to upgrade the RAM, you can do that. This has 16 gigs of RAM, so it doesn't really need more. Okay, so now that we got that, alright, so let's start taking the screws out. So there's one here. Alright, you see here, make sure I get all the screws out. And then this one is holding in the optical drive, so make sure to get that one out. Okay, and then there's another one here. Make sure not to mix up the screws. Okay, so once you get all those screws out, once you get out the screw holding the optical drive, then you can pull this tray out. If it doesn't come out, sometimes you have to flip the laptop over, so that way the weight of the CD drive, instead of tilting this way, it will tilt this way. Okay, so once you remove the CD drive, there's 3 more screws here underneath where the CD drive was covering, so you want to remove those as well. Hopefully you can see all the screws I'm removing here. Alright, remove those 3 as well. Alright, so get those 3 out. And then, let's see, there's 3 along the side here, so 3 along this bar. So you want to remove those 3. Okay. Alright, after you remove those 3, you want to remove these small ones. So there's 3 in this hard drive bay, and then there's 2 in this hard drive bay. I don't think there's one underneath, hopefully not, because I don't want to have to peel this cable out. Remove those other 3. Those 3, and then get these 2. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Alright, now that you got those 2, there are another 3 along the bottom here, 2, 3, and then there's 1 up here. So remove all of those. Alright, once you got all those screws out, you should be able to pop the cover off. So, lift up the computer, open it up partially, okay, and then I like to use my fingernail here. If you haven't, you can actually hold the power button for a few seconds after removing the battery just to drain any power inside. That should prevent anything like from this, if you remove the screen cable, it will prevent it from getting damaged. But yeah, so use your fingernails or a pry tool and then go along the edge, hopefully you can see, and just pry it around. one guy told me he cut his finger trying to pry it open, and then he called me an asshole, and I was like, I told you, use your fingernails, but I guess he doesn't have fingernails, so he used his finger and slid it along the metal casing on one of the laptops and cut himself. So if you don't have fingernails, use a pry tool. Don't use don't use the squishy part of your finger. You're gonna get yourself cut on it if you slide your finger along the edge. Okay, so keep going around, and then it pops out just like that. The back you don't really need to release, you just kind of have to lift it at an angle like this and it'll pop out. Okay, so there's the inside. As you can see, the optical drive board, it stays on this piece, so that's why you need to disconnect this cable. So the fingerprint sensor you actually didn't need to disconnect, but I'm going to disconnect it because I have to replace the keyboard on this one. There is adhesive on it, so when you peel it up, you want to get as close to the adhesive, not like pulling from back here. You want to pull close to it and kind of pull this way as well as up, because you don't want to crease the cable. Okay, so just like that. Okay, and I forgot to mention this one. Oh yeah, that's the speaker. So here you can see the speakers right there. Okay, I'm going to set that part aside. Alright, now we'll disconnect the trackpad cable here. Okay, hopefully you can see everything. Alright, got the wireless card and the other speaker. This stuff can stay. There's a connector here. I'm not sure what that's for. Probably the power button. It's not labeled. I guess we'll see when I pull it out. Alright, then you got the LCD connector here. Flip up that latch, and then you can pull this connector back. You might have to undo the tape here to have more slack if it's stuck. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to peel that later. Let's see, I'll just peel it out. Alright, so this you can peel it out, and then you can move this over, and then you got this connector here. This connector is a little difficult to remove, but use your fingernails or pry tool and kind of just wobble it. If you can't do that, you can kind of just pinch this and try and wiggle it until it comes out. Alright, so there's that. I think that cable's for the camera and the microphone. So, oh, this I'm going to have to take the fan out. Okay, so you got the USB board and the audio board connected here. Alright, so you got to remove that. Alright, and then you got this. I don't know what this DB wire stands for, but it connects to this board as well, so it's maybe for the headphone jack or something. I don't know. Maybe just gives more power to this USB board. Okay, then you got the keyboard connector here. You want to remove that or disconnect that. Alright, and then the keyboard backlight connector. Alright. And then you got a bunch more screws to remove. So let's see, there's one in the corner here. Hopefully you can see that. Yep, okay, you can. Alright, so remove that screw. Let's see here. Alright, where else? You got that screw. Then you got one screw up here near the heatsink. Okay, you want to remove that one. Okay, and then let's see here, got some screws up here. This is for the power button. So it looks like the power button, I think the cable runs along the motherboard or underneath the motherboard or logic board, and then it goes here. The CPU or the processor on this model actually is removable, it looks like. So this one, if you wanted to change it, you can, but just keep in mind that you don't want it to go up too high of a performance change, or it might run hotter and it can overheat your laptop. Okay, so there's another screw here, and then one more here. Okay, then we got another screw here. Then you got the fan held in place with 3 screws, so I'm going to remove those 3 screws. Okay. Alright, remove those 3 screws. Once you do that, the fan should come out. Okay, is there another screw or is it just taped? So there's some tape here you'll have to remove, and there's probably tape underneath as well. So if you remove this, hold down the heatsink here, and then kind of peel it at an angle like this. All right, and then the fan will come out. All right, then you want to disconnect the fan connector. Again, just like all the other ones, use your fingernails or pry tools and then kind of just wiggle it out, just like this. Okay. See, there's no other tools that you can kind of use like that, so I don't know, people keep bothering me about my nails, but I mean, what are you going to use to do this? Pliers? I don't know, you're going to damage stuff. So yeah, here's the power connector. You can see the fan was pretty dusty, so I'm going to have to clean that out. I think that was all the screws holding it in place. Let me see. So the difficult thing with these kinds of builds is when you put it back, you have to make sure all these wires aren't, like, none of the wires are underneath the board. And then you got the DC jack. I forgot to disconnect here. So again, if you can just get in there. Let's see. This one I might have to undo the wires and then pull on the wire itself because there's not much area to grip on this thing. So this one I will have to use the wire. So grab as close to the connector as you can on the wires and then kind of just wiggle it while you kind of pull it back. Just like this. Okay. Wow, this connector's really stuck in there. I don't know how I'm going to get this one out. Okay. I think this one I have to actually bend up this metal hook that's holding the wires in place and move them. So let's see. Alright, so let's bend up the metal hook, and then we can move the wireless antennas out, and then we can move this out a little bit to get a little more slack. Alright, so we'll move the DC jack, or the charge port cable out, just like that. Okay, so now that we got the DC jack cable out, now we can have more room to wiggle this. Alright, so just wiggle it and it comes out just like that. And then if you want, you can put this back just so you don't forget where it came from. And then just remember that the two notches on top face up. Okay, so I'm going to put these back underneath just so I don't forget to do it later. Actually, I'm going to have to take this out, so I'm going to take it out because I have to replace the keyboard. Okay, so we'll set that aside, and then the whole thing should be able to pop up. Alright, just like that. Is there anything else holding it in place? It doesn't look like it. Okay, so just pick it up and then wiggle it. Go slowly, you don't want to force it out and then end up breaking something. So it feels like there might be an adhesive or something holding it. But yeah, so just keep pulling it slowly. I wonder what's getting stuck on there. It looks like it's getting stuck on the HDMI cable area. So let me see, I'm going to turn this sideways, and then hopefully now I have a little more leverage I can pull on this. Yeah, for some reason it's stuck right here. Not sure why. There's nothing there. I guess I just have to lift it higher. Okay, let's see. Make sure none of the wires are on top of it. Oh yeah, you just have to lift it at a steeper angle. Okay, once you do that, you can get this out. I'm gonna have to clean out the dust from this thing, and then I'll show you how to replace the keyboard. So hold on, I'll be back. I need a toothbrush to clean out the dust. Okay, so to clean out the dust, I just brush it off with a toothbrush or something, and then use an air blower to clean it out. Alright, usually I don't brush this stuff off inside my office because then the dust gets everywhere, but since I'm doing a recording, I can't really stop the recording and then redo it, otherwise I have to kind of stitch the videos together and it takes a long time. So yeah, so right now I'm just brushing all the dust off. Okay, if you're wondering why you're just staring at nothing. Okay, and then I have this little thing that I use to blow the dust out. Okay. So, if I do this outside, I have like an electric air blower that works a lot better, that it plugs into the wall. So I'll do that again off camera to get the rest of the dust out. But right now, since I'm going to have to replace the keyboard, I kind of want to get some of this dust out. Okay, so there's that. Alright, and then I'll set the board aside. If you set the board and components aside, make sure you're not putting it somewhere that has a lot of static, or you can accidentally fry something. So I'm going to get the rest of this dust off, and then I'll go to replacing the keyboard. Yeah, I might have to use the air blower. The dust is kind of caught in there. Alright, so let's see here. Let's try this. Okay, so now let's get the keyboard out. Alright, so I'm only going to show like how to get the keyboard out, and then after that, hopefully you can figure out the rest for putting it back together. It's basically everything in reverse. Alright, so let's take the keyboard out. So there's the screws here. Let's see. Alright, so you got the one screw there at the top, then you got these screws on the side. Have to take out this one as well. Alright, and take out this one. Screw. Oh, they broke this screw. Okay. Whoever screwed that in before, it was all crooked. Okay. So, take out those screws. Alright, let's see what else. So, move that out of the way. I hope I don't have to peel up all this plastic to get screws out, because that would be annoying. Okay. Doesn't look like it. Alright, so we'll remove these screws now. Remove all the screws for this bracket. There's one screw that's partially hidden underneath this black plastic stuff. Alright, so now that we got all of that, let's see if we can get it out. So, they put all this adhesive here. I don't know why, it's kind of annoying. Let's see, hopefully there's no screws underneath the rest. It doesn't look like it. I think it's just clips. So we actually have to peel up all this adhesive. So peel off the adhesive here. Alright. Peel off this adhesive. I don't know why they put all this adhesive. It's just annoying. Hopefully the video is still recording. I think it only records 40 minutes, and then if it goes beyond 40 minutes, I'm gonna have to splice it together. Okay, so make sure to move this cable out. So this is attached to this metal board, and so this one you kind of have to be careful because you have to get underneath and peel it up, and you don't want to just yank on it and crease the thing, or it can damage the cable. Okay, and if you damage this cable, your power button won't work, so everything it won't turn on at all. That's in here. Let me get that out. Okay, so as you can see, this part's lifting up. So I think you don't need to remove all the adhesive strips. You can actually just lift it up at an angle like this, and then you can go ahead and replace the keyboard here, I hope. Okay, so again, flex that up, and then be careful with all the wires, because you'll have to also peel this one out. Since I'm replacing that, then I don't have to be too careful with it, but yeah. So peel that up, left behind some residue. Okay, so peel off that residue. You don't want to leave behind any double stick residue here because it's going to be a pain. Alright, so once you got that up, then the keyboard, you should be able to, let's see here, how did they, okay, so the keyboard actually slides down, alright, like this. You can pull these two pieces on the sides, hopefully you can see, but you pull that down, and then after you pull that down, you can lift this up and out, okay, just like this. Again, there's lots of cables, so you kind of have to be careful, and then you can pull this out, okay. See, oh, it's getting hooked, so make sure, I'll show you when I pull the keyboard out what it looks like, because there's a bunch of hooks under there, but looks like, come on, what is it stuck on now? Okay, there you go. Alright, so I'll show you here, and then just be careful when you set this metal thing down not to like smash it into the screen. But there's hooks that go into these little notches here, so you have to kind of guide those out from the hooks when you slide it down. Okay, but that's pretty much it. Now that you got the keyboard out, you can just put in the new one and then redo everything, redo all the screws and do everything in reverse. Again, it's a little bit tricky with all these little cables, so you have to make sure that all the cables are on top of this piece when you put it all back together. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe because that'll help me. And thank you for watching. Bye.